This is Georgia Focus, a public affairs presentation of this radio station and the Georgia News Network. For the next 30 minutes, we'll feature a discussion about an issue of importance and relevance to you and your neighbors across Georgia.
Welcome to Georgia Focus. I'm John Clark on the Georgia News Network. Parkinson's disease is a chronic and progressive movement disorder that affects millions of people worldwide. In the United States, as many as 1 million live with Parkinson's, with approximately 60,000 diagnosed each year. And that number does not reflect the thousands of cases that go undetected. Our guests today are Bill Wilkins. He is co-founder of the Wilkins Parkinson's Foundation, and Tamara Cantor, head of Team Cantor, which raises funds for Parkinson's disease. And I welcome both of you back to the shows.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
We had you guys on last year when we were talking about Parkinson's disease. Both of you are dealing with Parkinson's and have been for several years. And so talk about your own experience with Parkinson's disease.
I've been working with Parkinson's for 16 years now, and there are ups and downs. There tend to be times when things are going really well, and and other times they're not going so well. And the thing about Parkinson's is it's very unique to each individual. Now, I might not. Well, you'll hear from Bill. He'll have different, things that he's been challenged with over the years. But one of the first things that I find in a lot of cases is, as was I, your diagnosis is the first step, because a lot of times you get misdiagnosed to begin with. So getting a proper diagnosis has been key for me, and then getting into the movement disorder clinic, because they have such a perspective that's more specific to Parkinson's than the general neurologist. And some of the things that I found have been most helpful over the years is to exercise, and you try and take good care of yourself, because that makes the medicines work better. So that I'm kind of on a high right now, because I'm getting a lot of exercise, and things are going pretty well right now. So
Great. Good. Now, Bill, what about your experience?
Well, it's interesting. I'd like to say that I'm the same age as Tamara, but I'm not. I'm older. I'm the typical poster boy. I was diagnosed at 69 years old, and that was 8 years ago. But again, I agree with Tamara. One of the most important things is diagnosis. The earlier you're diagnosed, the better you can manage the disease. And the stories that come out is there's sometimes 3 or 4 years before people are diagnosed. So the key is to find the right doctor and have him, or find a movement disorder specialist like they have here at Emory.
Is it the misdiagnosis? Is it due to the fact that this Parkinson's seem like a lot of other different diseases? What's primarily the reason?
it can seem like other diseases because the symptoms act like other diseases might. And they're like I said before, it's so unique to each individual that it's hard for people to pin it down. And I think that's really the main thing. How
do they diagnose it? Is there a specific test?
Well, that's one of the tricky things.
Okay.
Is there really isn't a specific test. That's one of the things Bill could say a little bit more about with the Fox Foundation research. They're trying to develop a way where they can be diagnosed more early.
Right. What about anything known about the causes of Parkinson's?
Well, I think Fox is clearly the leader in research, and they have pinned it down. Some is genetic, family-related, some is environmental. And they haven't quite put it together, but they're really making some leaps and bounds ahead on the LRRK2 gene, which was discovered as that's a genetic part that's passed on, and they're doing a lot of research on that. And part of it here at Emory-Udall Research Center. And
what do they do there at Emory? Do they have a movement disorder center as well?
They have really two units.
Okay.
They've got a clinical phase, which is neurologists that run the movement disorder. Then they also have a Udall research center, which is funded through the Udall program out of Washington. So they're both in Emory, but one's research, one's clinical, and the clinical people do some research directly with patients.
What medications are available? Has that made progress over the years?
Yes, that definitely has made progress. Interestingly, some of the medications cause some of what people see as symptoms of the disease, because the medication might help the tremors that you have in your hands or legs, but then you might get dyskinesia from the medication, which is uncontrolled movement.
Right.
So it's a balancing act, really.
Yeah, and does it take a while to get your medicines just right, depending on your specific case?
I would say definitely yes, and it's kind of, as the disease progresses, it's kind of like shooting an arrow at a target. As the disease gets more digresses more for you and degenerates, the target gets smaller and smaller. Right. I mean, you have with the mixture of medicines that you have. So,
and both of you are of course, very involved in raising funds for research and to help people with Parkinson's and to find out more about the disease and hopefully find a cure. And Bill, you're the co-founder of the Wilkins Parkinson's Foundation, and then Tamara, you have a Team Cantor, which is involved with that. Talk about your involvement with that and the foundation and how the two of you work together on these various projects.
Well, I think it's interesting. Like I said, Tamara's been fighting this disease much longer, but we met 6 years ago, I think. I'd been working directly with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and Tamara was working with Parkinson's Unity Walk, and we found out that we were both top fundraisers for each of those groups.
Right.
And we live 10 miles apart.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we kind of connected, and when I formed my foundation 6 years ago, Tamara came aboard and operates under our umbrella, 501c3. So we were talking coming over here. I think between the two of us, we've made over $1 million that goes directly to research.
So it's working out well so far.
Yes, I'd say so.
You're gonna stick together,
yes.
Yeah. Well, certainly Michael J. Fox, who you've mentioned, has put this disease in the media, and he has certainly his case is well documented, and I know that you work very closely with his foundation. How in what ways do you work with his foundation?
The foundation, Michael J. Fox Foundation, formed a patient council. First ever. There were 9 of us from all over the country and one patient from Canada. That was formed so that Fox could have a better line of information from patients and directions. Because in the foundation at that time, Michael was the only one that had Parkinson's.
Oh, right.
So that's how it started with me. And then we got involved in fundraising. As we talked earlier, John, they now are embarking on 11 city seminars.
Right.
One will be here in Atlanta coming up in September. They're just a dynamic group. I think Michael, being young onset as Tamara was, has really put a face to the disease.
Definitely. Now, you have this event, Partners in Parkinson's, is one of the events that you mentioned that are around the country, and there is one in Atlanta on Saturday, September 13th. Talk about what to expect at that event.
Well, it's really interesting. It's a partnership with AbbVie Pharmaceutical and Michael J. Fox Foundation. Also a presenting partner is the Davis Finney Foundation, which basically focuses on living with the disease. And then my foundation is the local presenting partner. And it'll be a full day of every patient that hears this should be at this. It's free. They go into how to manage the disease rather than the disease manage you. It goes through diagnosis. There's breakout sessions. And then they'll have a resource area where there'll be local resources where a patient can pick their own team.
So that would be, in mentioning that this disease, Parkinson's, is tough to diagnose, it'd be a great event for someone who is not sure if they have the disease or not to possibly get closer to finding an answer.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with a young lady on a plane coming into Atlanta just day before yesterday. and her mother had been diagnosed, but the kids had noticed symptoms, subtle symptoms before, and she said she was going to come to a seminar, and certainly it's for patients, but it's also for caregivers and family. You're exactly right on, John. If members of the family think there's something, this would certainly give them a lot of education and input.
Right. That is Saturday, September 13th, Partners in Parkinson's in Atlanta, Georgia International Convention Center, and that is from 8 o'clock until 3:30 p.m. And how can people register for that? There's
a website, partnersinparkinsons.org, and you can go there and register. It's free. They would like, however, to have reservations, just so they know how many people are coming.
And you can stay all day and learn a lot. And they have they have a lunch and breakfast. It's pretty good.
Yes.
For that.
All you got to do is pay for gas to get there.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go. Partnersinparkinsons.org is the website. Then you can also find information there on that website about Parkinson's as well, right?
Yeah, there's a link certainly to the Michael J. Fox site, which has got a tremendous amount of information on research and up-to-date what's going on.
Our guests today are Bill Wilkins and Tamara Cantor, and we're talking about Parkinson's disease and some of the events that are coming up to support people with Parkinson's and also to support research and hopefully finding out a cure for Parkinson's disease. And I know both of you have annual events coming up here in Alpharetta, actually, and not too far from where we are now. You have the Polo for Parkinson's, and then you have Country Fried Rock for research. So I want to talk about those two events. Polo for Parkinson's is coming up first on Sunday, September 14th, the day after the Partners in Parkinson's. So you have a busy weekend that weekend.
Yeah, that's one hell of a weekend, I'll tell you. But again, it's two different things. With the Fox thing, it's educational. Polo's a fundraiser, but I like to call it a fundraiser, because if you haven't been to a polo match, or if you haven't been into the horse country just north of Atlanta here, it's worth it just for the drive. We also have a portion of this for the second year, which is Ask the Expert, where we have top neurologists and researchers that can answer questions relative to Parkinson's.
Now, you don't think about polo in Georgia. So that has to be fascinating. I've seen polo many years ago, but I never thought about it in Georgia. So that has to be fascinating for people to come out and see polo live and in person.
Well, polo isn't like basketball. Polo, you got to find a field.
Yeah.
And there is one, and has been for some time. And I think the original polo for Parkinson's was a Team Fox event. And we found out with all the Team Fox fundraisers throughout the country, this is the only one that was polo.
Polo, yeah. Oh, and that's at Chuck R. Farms and Polo Club in Alpharetta.
Yes.
And it's your 7th annual event. So what all do you do out there? Obviously, you have a polo match, but what else do you do?
Well, we really open the gates at about 12:30 or 1 o'clock. And there's barbecue by Q Outdoor, which is my favorite place, so I share that with everybody.
Can't go wrong there.
Yeah. There are liquid refreshments. This is all in the price of the ticket. We have a silent auction. We have various entertainers, and two things that are key to polo is we have a hat contest for the ladies. And also at halftime, you get to go down on the field and replace the divots that the horses have made. So it's a fun thing.
Is that the champagne divot stomp?
That's it. Everybody gets a glass of champagne. Well, if you're 21, you get a glass of champagne and go down and stomp divots.
I'm quite familiar with divots from golf, but I didn't think about it in polo. So I guess you got to replace those divots too.
It's true.
And then you mentioned the Ask the Expert, where you can actually talk with physicians and professionals.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we've got a research team from Emory that will be involved, that will be taking samples for their research projects.
And you can find out information about that Polo for Parkinson's in Alpharetta at Chuck R. Farm and Polo Club, and the address there, website is poloforparkinsons.com, and you can go on there and register and find out more about that event. And then, Tamara, you have on the September the 19th, Friday, September 19th, you have your Country Fried Rock for Research. You've been doing this for a long time, right?
Yes, this is our 11th year, and we've been blessed to have our headliner, Jeffrey Steele, the infamous songwriter, Nashville songwriter, just was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. And he's been with us all 11 years.
Wow.
And so we've built this event to be something pretty special. And we've got this year for the first time a title sponsor. Sherwin-Williams has joined us as title sponsor. And so I'm just very pleased to have such great support.
So he obviously he certainly believes in the cause and comes back every year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. And that's Friday, September 19th. Where will that be, and what are some of the what can people expect when they get there?
Okay. It's at the Metropolitan Club in Alpharetta. It's a beautiful facility, and there's lots of room to expand, so we don't have limitation on how many people can come. So we're open for new attendees that haven't come before. When you get there, you will have a silent auction. You'll have, once again, Q Barbecue, best barbecue in town.
Yeah.
And then what comes next is a live auction, and then we have an opening act, Walker Hayes, and then we get to the main event.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Steele.
Oh wow, that is great, and you have probably have a huge crowd for that every year.
Yes, we have over 250 people every year.
Right. And you buy tickets? Can you buy tickets in advance?
Yes, you can buy tickets or tables in advance at teamcantori.org.
Okay. All right. And now, of course, if someone can't attend any of these events for their schedule or whatever, what can they do in other ways to support the work for Parkinson's disease and research and so forth, whether it's donations, volunteering, and do you need volunteers for these events?
Well, for Polo, as a matter of fact, we just put a note out that if you'll volunteer, we need, because of the size of the venue, we need upwards to 25 volunteers. And like many organizations, we got our core group,
right?
But we still need to add. And with that, if somebody would like to volunteer, or we get a bunch of kids from churches and stuff that come out there, they get in, of course, free, get to be involved, and they also get some cute barbecue.
Yeah. So I heard that's good barbecue. One of them, one just opened near my house actually, so that's why. So so you have that, and you do volunteers. Tamara, what about you?
We're actually pretty good on volunteers this year.
Okay.
What you mentioned, what can people do that can't come? And one of the things we're trying this year as a supplement to what we're doing at the concert is we're trying a virtual race, which is people can sign up no matter where they are, and they support it by using their exercise that they do already to do a virtual race. And that supports our event as well.
Right. Bill, you also have your foundation has a website, too, that I want to mention. That's wilkins/pf.org, right? And you can go there and also probably find out more about what you do and ways that you can help out there, too.
Absolutely. We're kind of a broad-based foundation. We try to collaborate like Tamara and I have done. You know, we do a lot of work with Emory. We do a lot of work with Fox and the Unity Walk. We kind of put together groups thinking that we can do more together than we can apart.
Right, yeah. And you've certainly done it. You've raised a lot of money, and I know you will on these events, too, coming up this year. And I want to go back over those events to remind everybody of when they are and give you all the information. It's first is on Saturday, September 13th, Partners in Parkinson's at the Georgia International Convention Center from 8 to 3:30. You can find out the website is partnersinparkinsons.org. Then on Sunday, September 14th, Polo for Parkinson's at Chuck R. Farm and Polo Club in Alpharetta. That's poloforparkinsons.com. And then Friday, September 19th, Country Fried Rockford Research at the Metropolitan Club in Alpharetta. And you can go to teamcantor.org for that. Did I cover them all?
I think you got it.
That's a lot of events.
You did good, John.
Let me ask y'all, just in the couple minutes that we have left, for people that maybe are dealing with Parkinson's, or maybe don't know that they're dealing with it. Maybe they haven't been diagnosed yet, but they're noticing some symptoms. What advice can you two give them? Things that can help them out early. Catching it early, is that the key?
That's one of the big things, and it seems like your family and friends kind of know. You think they don't know that something's going on, but they do. And I think the support of people around you is key to get you moving and get you to a diagnosis. And I think the other thing is just really getting to a movement disorder specialist, because in my case, I was under 40 when I went to the doctor, and they thought I would be making medical history if I really had Parkinson's, and they didn't believe it. But it is something that you have to assume anybody and everybody could possibly get it. So I think just being aware of your symptoms and having your family be aware to encourage you.
How long did it take before you were actually diagnosed?
It took a little over a year for me to get a proper diagnosis.
Okay. And Bill?
Yeah, it was interesting that I'd had a heart problem, and they said the medication they gave me for that might cause a tremor. Well, a tremor started in my right hand. As it turns out, it wasn't the medication, it was the beginning of Parkinson's. So, I caught it relatively early because of that.
And so when you talk about doctors, and you mentioned Emory, this is probably something that's highly specialized as far as a neurologist is concerned, so it's important to see a neurologist then.
Absolutely. I think Emory is one of the top movement disorder groups for those people that we're talking to in Georgia. It's key that you get in and see people like this, because they're cutting edge. Clinically, they know what's going on. Research, they know what's going on. So it's very important.
Well, and if someone is dealing with it, whether you're someone dealing with it, or you have a family member or a friend or whatever, certainly attending one of the events that you guys have is a place where you can find support and you can find information. I would imagine you could probably stop anybody there just about and ask them, and they'll point you in the right direction to where to get some help.
Exactly.
That's right. I think one thing that's key too, John, is once you're diagnosed, is to get involved in some fashion. You don't have to be Tamara Cantori and 11 years of fundraisers, but I think the patient needs to be involved in some kind of group setting so they're not alone. You find out that this disease, those that don't get out and actively be involved, there's a depression aspect to it that is not healthy.
So I guess having a good mental attitude.
Yes, having a positive attitude and actually getting out there and talking with people does help. It's a family affair. I found that I've been helpful sometimes more to the caregiver or the spouse of someone with Parkinson's, because I can explain why they went downstairs to get an envelope, and 2 hours later they're cleaning the closet and they don't get the bill paid.
Right.
These are things that I think is a offshoot function that we can perform, helping other families.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I thank you both for coming in again. It's good to see you both, and I appreciate you taking the time to come in and what you do. And certainly want to run down the list of your events again, because I want people to attend and go and support what you're doing. Saturday, September 13th, Partners in Parkinson's at the Georgia International Convention Center, 8 to 3:30. And you can find out there at partnersinparkinsons.org, and that's where you can go and get a lot of information if you're dealing with the disease or know someone who is dealing with it. A couple of really fun events that's designed to raise money for Parkinson's and Parkinson's research. Sunday, September 14th in Alpharetta at the Chuckar Farm and Polo Club, Polo for Parkinson's. Go out and watch them play polo. And also the Champagne Divot Stomp sounds like a lot of fun, too. Poloforparkinsons.com. Friday, September the 19th. Country Fried Rock for Research at the Metropolitan Club in Alpharetta with singer-songwriter Jeffrey Steele, and that you can find that information there at teamcantori.org. You can also go online to the Wilkins Parkinson's Foundation at wilkins/pf.org. So a lot of places for you to go and find that information. I know we gave you a lot of websites, but all of those websites will lead you into others, and you can get all the information that you need. And I want to thank our guest today, Bill Wilkins, co-founder of the Wilkins Parkinson's Foundation, and Tamara Cantori, head of Team Cantori, which raises funds for Parkinson's. And we thank them for being our guests. And as always, we thank you for listening. And I'll talk to you next week on Georgia Focus.
You've been listening to Georgia Focus, a public affairs presentation of this station and the Georgia News Network. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the staff, management, or ownership of this station or the Georgia News Network. If you have comments or questions about Georgia Focus, contact John Clark at the Georgia News Network at 1-800-776-4638 or email johnclark@georgianewsnetwork.com. Thanks for listening.